You might have seen this video of Levy Rozman making this amazing move against me in Canada. I lost this game in 12 moves. This is analyzed on our channel. But this was not the end of the story. I resigned that game and we set up the pieces to play another one. The second game here. We shake hands and off we go. I have the white pieces and open the game with 1d4. Levy goes for g6. I push my pawn to c4. Bishop to g7, knight comes out to c3. This game is an amazing representation of the difference of styles that we both possess. d6 by Levy. And now, what was I going to play the next move? e4. We had some interesting conversations while we were playing here. Levy was asking me about my favorite players and all, but very soon the game gets intense. Knight comes out and attacks this pawn with the bishop. I defend it and the pawn is pushed to e5. I put my knight to e2. The reason I don't put my knight on f3 is that he cannot pin me any longer. If bishop g4, I have now the move f3. So this is a very solid setup here. And white is supposed to be slightly better in such positions. Knight e7 is a move that I did not like. Because now after I push my pawn, generally the knight should go back to e7. But here the knight goes back to b8 and Levy's like, where else do you think I should have gone? Like, should I have gone to a5? Of course, that would get trapped, but maybe he was like knight b4, knight a6, knight c5. But okay, knight b8 is played. We now have a kind of closed position, so Levy losing a couple of moves with his knight is not as relevant as it would have been in an open position. h4. I try to open up the position with h5. Definitely white is better here. h6 played. Now, the point is, when I push h5, he wants to meet it with g5, and I do it. At this point, I felt like Tigran Petrosyan, who would create a weakness and then latch onto it. g5, which is the weak point? Of course, the f5 square is terribly weak here. So I jumped in with my knight here, knight to g3, attacking the f5 square. I mean, just getting in here. This is a major weakness, and Levy actually plays f5 in order to get rid of the weakness. Pretty pleased right now. I take the pawn and he takes with the knight. Here I instantly take back with the knight and bishop takes. Maybe not the best decision by me. I had other options, like for example here I could have played directly bishop d3, or there's also this very interesting queen a4 check. But my idea was simple. Fight for the e4 square. It's an outpost for your knight, and play against this bishop on g7. So Levy tries to defend his bishop. I try to attack it further on the f5 square, and he castles. This is a nice move by him. And now I take on f5. If the queens are traded, definitely white would be slightly better. So Levy takes with the rook. The rook. And now I'm just going to put my knight on e4. And that knight cannot be kicked away, and this bishop is terrible. So I was feeling pretty confident here. Also, this is 3 minutes plus 2 seconds increment, so I guess I had plenty of time. Here I was going to long castle, but first decided to play knight e4. Now this is being very sure, because if I long castle, I was like thinking, what if he just sacrifices this pawn to open up his bishop? So I said, okay, let me put my knight in the center of the board. Here it's just perfectly positioned, nothing to worry about. And then slowly I'll start playing on the queen side, perhaps I'll play on the king side. Of course, it's not so easy here to break through. So knight comes out to a6, and he's looking at maybe the b4 square. I can actually play a3, but I went long castles, and my king is now pretty safe here. The thing is, I'm not really afraid of this knight coming to c5, because I'm going to chop it off with my bishop. Right now it can anyway not come here because I have two attackers there. And so Levy plays b6, and this is where I was like, okay, does he want to come to c5 really? So I just played this very useful move, king b1, which is a nice little move. And here I was thinking, what will he do next? Also, my way of breaking in is not really clear. Would I go like g4 followed by knight g3, knight f5? that could be an idea, and he played knight c5, and I was like, oh my god, thank you so much, Levy, because now what went out of the board is not important. What remains on the board is important. My knight is so much superior to your bishop, and Levy is kind of showing something like, what can I do? My position is not great. But this is where I think the difference between me and Levy lies as players. He believes in the dynamic possibilities in a position, and he still feels that black has good chances, while I believe more in kind of the positional nature of this, that my knight is superior to your bishop. The truth is, chess lies somewhere in between. You need to be good at both, which is why you can say that both of us are IMs. Rook f4 played here. Now the knight is attacked, and maybe I can go rook b3, but then he might bring his queen in. So I decided to just play a safe move, rook e3, and kick off his rook from the f4 square. That was my idea here. And Levy starts to think here, and he's planning to bring his rook. At some point, the time pressure is going to kick in. We are not able to see the clocks here, but if you imagine that this is a 3+2 game, and we are already roughly 5.5 minutes into the game, this is already, we both must be less than a minute on the clock. So rook b8, I pushed the rook away, rook went back, and I think I was so happy with my position that I was making all these moves so calmly. Well, I need to speed up. Rook a3, this is a good move, because now he had to play rook b7, and now figure out a way somehow to maybe go queen e2, f3, g4, knight g3, knight f5, something like this. But I go rook b3, not a great move, and now rook b6 played. I don't know what was going on in my mind here, because I think getting this rook into the game was something I wanted to do, but taking was terrible, because the a7 pawn was a weakness. But I played a4, and my thought was, I'll play my pawn to b3, I'll keep my position safe on the queen side so that he has no way to break through, and then I will try to play on the king side. But this is not going to work out, because he has already a very active queen and a rook on the queen side, and now he puts his rook on f3. So Levy starts to get very dynamic here. He's trying to create threats. I go king a2, which is a good move. For now, there's no way for this rook to attack my knight, which is good news. So queen comes back to f5. I bring my rook to the center of the board, and he brings his queen back in, attacking the h5 pawn. And I think I find a good move, because here if you take on h5, I have knight d2, and he's in trouble here. So that's the reason why he went queen f5 back, and I played rook to d1. He played pawn to g4, now attacking my pawn on h5. I decided to give it up, because I realized that I could trade, and even though I'm pawn down, look at my knight, look at my pieces, he cannot create a passer. And here maybe the position is roughly equal, but I start to get a bit too ambitious. b4 might have been good, but I sacrifice the pawn. Oh my, bring my king in. My hope was perhaps to get my king in like this. And oh, this is terrible. I should have played king b5 here, but Levy finds an amazing move, queen c8. What a beautiful move that he's found. And now my king is completely trapped. Queen a8 check, king b5 check, and it's mate. Just out of the blue here, he checkmates me, and this is just the most unusual finish that can ever be. As Levy says, you should not have pushed your pawn so much. You should not have brought your king in there. Yeah, maybe, and I was also not very pleased with this pawn sacrifice to a5. But what a beautiful move Levy found here, queen c8, and that just showed his tactical awareness in the position. He was very quick to spot that the king cannot go back now, because if king a4, there is queen a6 mate. And here I think we begin to analyze it a bit after king a4, and maybe I should not have gotten into it. And as Levy points out here, maybe b4 is a better move here, and that's true. b4 is a better move in this position. But yeah, 2-0 to Levy Rozman here. And the thing is, we played one more game. This is the game which has never been published before, and I will publish it very soon. Take care, guys. See you.